session, Nick Jackson, Development Manager at Buzz Interactive, will take the spotlight. This talk looks at how Buzz Interactive uses Orchard Code to build websites with a strong focus on the editor experience. They share how they approach flexibility in content creation and how that has shaped their use of widgets and how they have adapted the backward system to better support their needs.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Yes, that last talk was very intelligent. I promise you there will be no intelligence during my speech. But I'll just like to say thank you very much for allowing me to speak today. It's great. It's my first time at Orchard Harvest, and it's been fantastic to see what a sort of close-knit community it really is, and everyone's been really welcoming. So thank you very much for that. So I'm Nick Jackson. I'm a development manager at Buzz Interactive. I have been a Orchard contributor since 124 days ago, so I'm still relatively new. I've been developing for almost 25 years, and Orchard is the only open source software I've contributed to, so I should feel very happy. So those of you who are not familiar with Buzz, we are a web development company based in Newquay, in Cornwall, in the UK. We do bespoke websites, dashboards, portals, mobile apps, and also VR as well. That's some of the team outside our studio there, and the picture in the bottom right there, that's the beach, which is about a 3-minute walk away from the studio. Yes?
At what point do you mention Dean?
Dean? We don't mention Dean, he left. No, Dean Markson, who was the main contributor for quite a while, he used to work with us a few years ago, and so we've worked with Orchard for about 15, 16 years. It's been a long time. So we started using it at Orchard 1, and then as this adapted over the years, as soon as Orchard Core came around, we started to use that for all our ongoing projects. So all of our dashboards and portals are built on top of Orchard Core. So, what am I going to speak about today? So we're going to look at something that we've sort of coined the block system. So I'll take you through what these blocks are and sort of how we use them to build pages, and also look at the changes we've made to the bag part system to make it easier for our content creators to create these pages. We'll next look at the layouts that we've developed. So this is for giving editors a strong starting point, so when they create new pages. And then I'm going to go into looking at some of the custom fields and utilities that we've also created, and take you through some of those that makes life a little bit easier for our editors. And at the end we'll have the Q&A. So, when we started building websites many years ago, in Orchard 1 we used the layouts module there and allowed our clients to create sort of complex layouts. They could put columns in there, they could resize them, they could basically create any sort of layout they wanted to. And this was fine for our technical users, but the majority of our users weren't that technical. So to them, it was quite an alien subject, thinking about columns and what to place where. They couldn't really think about that, they just wanted to get the content on the page. So when Orchard Core came around, obviously the obvious choice was we looked at the flow part. And again, it works really well because you can create any layout you want. With this example here, we have kind of like text on one side and image on the other. And again, for a technical user, this is not a problem. You know, for us developers, we could look at that and go, yeah, we can build whatever layout we want. But our clients, they'll struggle with this because we've got a couple of problems here. We've got the overwhelming flexibility. So for them, they can create as many columns as they want. So they might have 6, 7 columns if they wanted to. It's the complex structure. So obviously widgets within widgets. When you start nesting them, the deeper you get, the more lost the user can get with that structure. And then the unpredictable layouts. So again, as developers, we kind of have a design system we want them to follow, but of course they can break that design system and start adding whatever they like. And that kind of leads me on to sort of the next thing where Buzz, we focus on the tech, the development side of things. So we work with external designers. So working with them, when they design things, they come up with a design system. So when we build it, we have to build it to match that design system. And our clients will not follow the design system if you give them too much choice, or they will struggle to follow it. So we wanted a way of giving them simplifying the approach to building pages. Sort of, we call it structured flexibility. Give them options to build sections of pages. And these sections, we kind of work with the designers, and we were trying to understand what sort of terms were getting used, and with our clients as well. And one of the common terms that was getting used was blocks. This term is used in other content management systems as well. And basically blocks, when we looked it up, a distinct, often pre-designed and reusable section of content on a web page. An example is a hero area, feature list, or a testimonial carousel. So, you know, each section represents a meaningful part of the page. It can contain multiple elements like text, images, and in one cohesive unit. So I think we'll just go straight into sort of an example of this one. So for all the demos, I'm just going to use the Buzz website as a demo, just because we actually have some quite complex layouts on that website, and we also have a lot of these, what we call blocks, so it'll sort of showcase sort of what we've done here. So on this page, we've just got a demo page here, Buzz Interactive and Orchard Harvest. So this is just kind of like a hero section, if you like. You come down, we've got this young, handsome, talented developer. Then we've got this guy. Hey! We've got a little features block here, so you've got a little title, some text, and some examples here of what features might be there. We've got a testimonial section here. We've got a little case study. Just a little something about our ISO 27001 certification. Another hit there feature. So you see this page is quite a lot going on here. And we've got a big huge. We've even got a call to action block. There's a lot on this page. So let's go and have a look at what we can do with these blocks in the editor. So in the editor, what we've done is we've used the back bar, and we like to use like the widgets. What we've done though is we've given it a stereotype of block because we didn't want to touch the widgets in the instant sense of functionality. We wanted to leave that intact. So we basically created a widget, we called it a block in the stereotype. It just gives us more options for making sure that we don't interfere with how the widgets normally work. So each one of these is a block. So as you see here, we've got the hero that we saw at the top, so let's open that one up. And we've got in there, you've got your title, subtitle, we have a call to action and an image on this side as well. Where the interesting one is, we've got a text and image block. Now, the text and image block is a really common block that we use pretty much throughout all our clients' websites. One of those really useful ones. So it's basically just shows an image either on the left or the right. And you have some options as well in here in terms of tag, title, content. Again, we've got a call to action and a few options. So we try to lay out the editor almost like it would be in the front end, just to give that user a bit of sense of familiarity with it when they're editing it. So if we go back on here, we can see we come down, the little tag here, we've got a little, we call it a tag to speak inside, there's a little bubble, and obviously we've got the title, and we've got content there. So if they didn't want the tag, rather than giving them a delete button and then adding it afterwards, all they need to do is literally just leave it empty. If we go back into the front end, you can see now the tag has disappeared, the HTML is no longer rendered on the page. So the user doesn't have to worry about removing that. Same with the title as well. So we can remove the title if we really wanted to, and it would just naturally remove the title. Again, there's no empty H tags left in there at all, it would just naturally flow. What we try to do as well is we try to keep the sort of styling down for the user. So we don't want them to worry too much about layout. They have a couple of choices here. So they have this image position on this side. So at the minute, it is on the left. We can switch it to the right. And of course, we go back into there, it's switched both ways. So it gives a bit of flexibility there. Let's put my title back in. Use this keyboard. There we go. And you notice as well, on the design system that we have for our website, whenever we have a title in this block, if the title is displayed to the left-hand side of the screen, this green underline gets added. That's part of our branding at Buzz. So that was really important. But if I put the image to the left, we don't want that line because that's not how the branding is defined by our designers. So again, the user doesn't have to think about this. It's just handled for them based on that design. We also have like an image style here as well. So this basically what wraps it in this kind of bubble, if you like. We've just got the standard options, so you've got to point to the top, right, whatever, normal. So if we just wanted it a square image, we can just do that as well. So it kind of just handles that sort of look and feel of it. What we wanted to do though is, again, with the designers, they came up with a few ideas where you can have different variations of this block. So they have things like background colours that can be changed. So they may want a green background or a black background or something like that. The problem with that is, we originally thought, okay, well that's fine, we can just say, let them pick a background colour from a picker. The problem is, if they select the background for black, they would have to then go in and change the font colour, and then also you've got the problem with the buttons as well, you'd have to maybe update those. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to give them these options, these variants if you like, in the term we call a theme. So we've got a styles tab here, and when we go in there we can decide what theme we want this block to have. So at the minute we don't have a theme, it's just the none, or the default we should have called it really. But say if we wanted it to be green, we just select green, go back into that. You can see it is now updated, it's changed the font colour, it's also changed the button colour as well, so that the user hasn't had to think about that. If we again change to black, we can see that again everything changes, it all fits in keeping with the brand guideline. What's kind of nice about this is, so for instance we have these two sections here, so if you've got these two sections, sometimes it's nice to break that up, so you know, could leave this section in black, and then if we come down to Alpin's section below, we can then change the same thing that we did before, or maybe put it in a grey, and then we can also change his image to the right. Now we come in, and you can kind of now see we've kind of changed the layout, but the user hasn't had to think too much about what the look and feel is, the system sort of handles it for them. So that's the sort of the themes of that one. How we handle sort of more complex blocks is, we've got the FAQs, we come down here and we in the FAQs we allow them to have a title, give them the option of content, so let's just go back to the front end a minute, scroll down. So we've got here, as you can see, we've got FAQs and we've got the things there. So we haven't got any content at the minute, and that's obviously because the node it's just not rendering on the front end. If I enter something in there, it would then pop up. We use the tag part for this one. As you can see here, we don't allow them to add too much, we just literally allow them to add an FAQ. And the FAQ, we've kept it really simple. We've got the title and we've got a content WYSIWYG, you see here. So it keeps sort of the options limited to the user, but that's all they really want. Because at the end of the day, when they're putting in content, they don't want to be overwhelmed with options, they just want to quickly get the content in as fast as they can. Even with this, as you can see, we're quite nested down already. We've got these few layers, so the user is still maybe mentally struggling here. So we don't tend to go much deeper than this in terms of nesting. We try and keep it as simple as possible. So that's about adding like FAQs and things like that. We do have another one, which is the team members block, which I'll just go to the team members. So we've got who we are. So with this one, this offers a very sort of traditional sort of content items shown in a list. We did think about doing this using a query. However, when we started to think about this type of block, we thought the problem with query is they would have to allow ordering system for it, so we'd have to allow team members to be ordered in a certain way. And then maybe we may want to display the team members on different pages. We may want to separate the team into front-end developers, back-end developers. So rather than doing that, all we basically added here was a content picker, which allows you to select what team member to add, and then this also obviously allows you to order them in any way you see fit. So this allows really good flexibility because we're not relying on queries. The user doesn't have to understand queries or how that all works. All they're doing is picking the team member and putting them in the order that they want to be displayed. So that's how we kind of handle that sort of aspect of it. So with the pages, one thing that we found with the blog part by default, if we scroll down, we get the add item down at the bottom here. If I click that, what the user is presented with is this sort of drop down. It shows all the available blocks that we have within the system. The problem we have with this is, one, it's not alphabetically ordered, so it's quite hard to find the block, and as you can see we have quite a lot of blocks on the Buzz website. Also as well, they've only got a content type name to go on. That's all they have to try and understand what it is they're going to be adding to the page. And to a user that's not sort of technically minded, they don't know what the difference between text and images and a title and text and image. What does that mean in terms of look and feel? So we wanted to see what we could do to improve that, and that's why we came up with the idea of creating a new editor for the bag part, which, by the way, the editors in Orchard are amazing because it just means that you can really extend the functionality without overriding any of the source code. Let's go. So we've got the page, and we go into here. If we scroll down, we'll go to the bag part definition. And what we've got, if we click on this, we now have a new editor called Box. Please ignore these other two. Halcon will explain those shortly. Now let's go back into the page and see what that's done. So we're still presented with this list, this hasn't changed, but we now have a add block button. And now when I click this add block button, the user now gets a block picker, as we've called it. So the block picker, as you can see, one, it's alphabetically ordered, two, it is categorized. So you've got different categories there. You've also can filter them, search them as well. But most importantly, they've got a visual representation of what the block will look like when they render it on the page. So if they're not quite sure, this really gives them a real good visual clue to what it will be added to the page. So the way that we've achieved this is we've basically created a new part that gets added to each block, called the block part. So let's go and have a quick look at that. I'll just use the text image. So with this one, so we have down here a block and it has some settings. We click on that. So in here, this is why you can set the category for which it's going to be displayed in. So this one sits in the category of content. We can change that, just go to harvest if we want. And then we've got a link to the preview image as well. So we've left this as a text field, just because you may want to store this image in the media library, or you may want to put it in your theme that you're currently using, which is exactly what we've done. By default as well, you don't actually have to enter anything in here. It will look automatically inside your theme for a box folder, and basically the name of the content type that will look in there. So if you didn't enter anything there, you could just drop the image in and it will just appear for you. So if I just put that back in and we save that, so we change the category to harvest. So we go back to pages and we can go back there, and well, we should now see harvest. When we click that, we now only see the text and image block. So, like I say, clients love this. They really, they say how much easier it is to use the system, this like that, because, like I said, they've just got that real good visual representation of what they're going to have. So that's kind of like the changes we've made to the bag part. So that leads me on to layouts. So one of the next issues we found is when we go to a page and we hit new page, the user is presented with that, which is fine because if they've got an idea of what they want to create, that they can just go in and pick the blocks that they want. But a lot of the time they have a sort of a layout that they may want to follow. So they may have like a sort of standard landing page, and they want to always they maybe want to use that. So what options do they have? Well, if they've already created a page that they like, they obviously have the option to go in and clone it. Problem with that is they've got to find the page, and once they have cloned it, it's created a copy of it. It's also got all the metadata, such as the URL and all the rest of it, that they kind of have to strip out and remember to change. So it's quite clunky for the user to do that. So we wanted to look at how we can give them a really good starting point, and that's where we kind of came up with the idea of layouts. So if I come down to the design section, we have a new section here called layout. So essentially this is a content item, and it's just called a layout content item. And if we go into this, we have a landing page layout here. If we click on that, as you see, it's quite simple. We just have a title, an optional description, and again we have a image preview URL. And then underneath that, we have a bag part with a block editor attached. So users can kind of build whatever they want in here as a starting point. So how do we use this layout for a new page? So if we go back to our content definition, and we find the page, all we need to do is we add a part, and this time we can just add a layout part. And we'll save that. Now, let's go back into the page, let's create a new one. Now when they go to that, they're presented with what starting layout they would like to use. So again, with this one, they can search if they want to, if they have lots of layouts. For us, we don't have that many on here, but say they wanted a landing page, all they have to do now is click add, and there they go. It now populated the bag part with all the blocks that was available in that layout, and none of the other settings from that, obviously, because it didn't have any for that, it doesn't come through. So it's still a new page, it hasn't been saved yet, so they can then go in there and make the changes they need and publish it. What's really important here is there is no connection between this and the layout. If the layout changes, it will not affect this in any way. This is purely just a starting point for our clients. So that's kind of like if you've got kind of multiple layouts. What we wanted to do though was, for instance, when we create a blog post, we have a blog post layout that we want. Now, we really want the marketing people to follow that layout. So rather than showing them a pic, it would be nice if we just apply the one layout. And we can do that. So if we come down to the content definition of that one, and we'll just find the blog post there. And then this time, we can add the layout part again. And then we can, with the layout part, we've got some settings we can customize. So we have a few options here. So one is allow an empty layout. So a minute ago when it popped up, the user had to select a layout before they could begin. If we wanted to allow them to have a blank page, we can just check that, and then it will show an option for them to just empty page. But what we want to do here, of course, is we just want to apply the blog post. And all we have to do, if we just select blog post and nothing else, and we hit save on that one, when we go to the blog post now, and we hit new blog post, it's automatically populated. They don't get the option of what layout they would like to use. And again, they can go and start adding many blocks and changing it as they want. So if they did want to change it, they're not fixed. It's all about flexibility. They can still create great looking pages with whatever blocks they need for the content. So yeah, that is the layout part. So next what I want to do is just kind of go through some of the sort of custom fields that we've created, one of which we've kind of already demoed, which will probably do first actually. So a couple of months ago, we were looking at the image field, and we found some issues, or our clients didn't quite understand. They were trying to add anchor points or the media text, and they didn't realise that they had to select the image first, and then the options would become available. So we wanted to kind of shift that a little bit, and we wanted to be able to give the user a little bit more of a streamlined process. So as you can see here, we have this media field here. Again, this is just an editor for the media field. So we have a couple of options. One, if we want to replace this image, we can just click it and we can just choose a new image, and that will replace it. Next, if we wanted to do an anchor point, we can do an anchor point and just click it. We don't have to select the image first, obviously. The other one is we've got media text. So you can see here we've kind of got this little empty speech bubble. That's like an indicator that there is no media text. If I open that up and just type in media, okay, you can see that the bubble is now solid. So that kind of gives the user a visual cue that they've already got media text. Because obviously, as you know, if you're adding images to the page, it's not presentational, or it is presentational. They need to have alt text, so that's where that comes in. And again, you know, you've got your delete button, you can do that. But as you can see here, as I'm clicking this, the layout isn't getting shifted. What we found with the other image field was when you remove an image, everything shifted around. The image position started shooting up because, of course, it collapses to a small box. So what we've done here, we've kind of fixed this aspect ratio. So it doesn't matter if you have an image or not, the layout never shifts. So that's the image one. The other one that we've got as well, which is a little bit different, like into images, we have this image gallery. So if you've got multiple images, so that one I just showed you a second ago was for if you only allow single images. This one is very similar, so we can click on this. I haven't actually got many. Here we go, we've got a few people here. Let's have those. So we have them there, and as you see, all adds them in a row. We don't have to select one first if we want to go and edit the anchor point. We can just click on the person we want to edit, and that just pops up. We've got a couple of different options here. We can make the icon smaller. We can even go into a list view as well. And again, all those icons are there. We try to follow what's in the media library as well, so they know using the same icons just to give that same familiarity for the user. And this is really useful, especially if you've got things like long lists of like PDFs or anything like that. It really can make a big difference. We also, was a feature that we submitted recently, was the ability to drag multiple items as well. We had a client that had something like 70 photographs, wasn't it?
Yeah, sometimes in the hundreds with.
Yeah, and they wanted to drag the last 5 to the beginning, so they had to drag one at a time, and so that kind of solved that type of problem. So yeah, there is a video online about this, so on one of the Orchard meetups. So if you'd like a deep dive into that, that's a good place to have a look. The next field that we've got is, we called it a button field. So when we started adding links between things, we looked at using the link field. The problem with that is you had kind of one option. You had URL, and then obviously allowed you to have the text and things. The problem was the client was mostly linking internally, so they had to go and find the URL for that content item, and then obviously if that content item's URL ever changed, that link would be broken. So we thought, okay, we'll just use the content picker instead. The problem with that is that then they lose their ability to link out to any other websites, which you need to give them that flexibility. And the other option was people wanted to be able to link to things like PDFs. So if they've got terms and conditions PDF or legal documents, they would have to go into the media library, find where that file was, copy the URL, and put it into. the next option there, so if the user wants to link out to an external site, they can change it to URL. That is then replaced with a URL input. And then lastly, we have media. So this then allows people to go and choose the media item. So you can see here we've got choose media, click on that, and this then will then open the media picker. So all I have to do here is select the media item I want, click on that, and that is now inserted the URL in the background. The user doesn't have to know where that is, it's all taken care of for them. So what other options we have in here? So at the end of here we have something again, what type of style of the button we want. Do we want it solid or outline? This can be customised, but I'll show you that in a second. We have things like opening new window or no follow, things like that. But we didn't want the user to see those all the time, so they don't really need it. They're sort of special cases. So we've just kind of hidden them in this kind of behind this little cog icon. So if we click on that, we just drop down underneath. So if the user needs them, they're there, but they're not taking up the UI and distracting them from what they need to do. And again, it gives them the option for what text they would like to use for the button as well. So there's a few sort of customizations you can do with this button. So let's go and have a quick look at that. So the call to action. The call to actions is a bag part, and all we do is allow people to select a call to action content type, and that call to action content type just has the button field. And we've got a couple options. So one, can edit text. So this is basically the default or the text that they can rendered on the button. So we entered the default value in here. So if we didn't want the users to change that, maybe it had to be fixed for whatever reason, we can uncheck that, and then that text field won't be shown in the editor to them, so they don't need to worry about that. Then we got down here, we've got the variants. So like I said before, we've got solid and outline, and we just put the values, and then in the view for this, we can just handle the different variants and apply different styles to it if we wanted to. We allow the users, if they can change the link type, so maybe this particular block, we only want them to link to internal stuff, so we can disable that, and now users won't get the option to enter a URL or a media picker. It's all kind of just handled for them. And then, like the content picker, you can select what items will be displayed in that content picker as well. So it's quite a lot of flexibility there. I mean, again, with this one, it's on the call to action. It would generally just allow people to link through to things like pages and team members and projects. So just the general sort of places to link to. So that's the button field. The other one we looked at as well is what WYSIWYG editor we wanted to use. Obviously, in Orchard you've got CK editor. Is it your CK editor in there? What's the default? Trumbleweed. Yeah, we use Trumbleweed, and then we started running into problems with that. It's no longer maintained, is it, Trumbleweed? It hasn't been updated in a very long time. So we wanted to look at alternatives, and Outwin was particularly keen on looking into more alternatives as well. And one of the ones that we kind of came across, which was really nice, was Quill.js. So this is just a rich text editor, fully open source. And it just seemed like a kind of good fit, and we just wanted to have a little go and see about creating a new type of HTML editor there. And where this comes into play, and which is a little bit is nice, is if I go back to this page here, as you can see, we've got Buzz Interactive at Orchard Harvest. You've got Buzz Interactive highlighted in green. So how we do that is we've got this title field, which looks like a normal title field. But actually, if we just highlight a little bit of text, we get this little drop down underneath, and we give them a few options in here. So in this bit here, this allows them to pick from a set of colours, and of course at the minute this one only has a green as an example. So this allows that flexibility. Again, our clients may want to highlight certain things, they may want to, we can include bold, whatever we want really, but it's kind of limited in options what they can do. But it's nice to have this kind of little editor popping up. This doesn't look like a special field, it looks like a normal input field, and to be honest with you, if the user didn't highlight text, you'd probably never know it's there, which sometimes is a good thing. So yeah, so that was kind of our WYSIWYG one, and I think Al, that was your little baby, wasn't it? You enjoyed that one.
Yeah, stretch goals.
So just trying to make sure. Slide out. So then the next thing we wanted to look at as well is one of the issues that we found. Users found it difficult to edit pages, and what I mean by that, if I just navigate to the home page. So say they're looking around the site and they go to how we do it. We can talk about how we do it on this page, and they may be spotted, there's a typo on this page. The problem is here is how does the user then go and edit this page? Well, they obviously have to go up to the URL, let's go to admin, find the page in the admin, and then make the changes. So we kind of wanted to streamline that process a little bit. So what we came up with, we've come up with something called a utility bar. And what happens is, you don't really see anything at the minute, but if I hit my mouse over to here, we get this little pop out here. This gives us the user a couple of options. One, they can navigate to the admin, or two, they can edit the page. So if we click on that, that then takes them straight to the page to edit, and they can make. Was there a question there? Sorry. Click on that, and if we publish that, once we've published, it takes the user right back to the page they were. So that really takes out that complex workflow that they would normally have to go through. That's it. Yeah, find my slide. It doesn't like this bit. So yeah, so this everything I'm showing you today, we've been working on for I think about 2 years ago. We kind of came up with this scenario. Since then, we've created many websites, all using the exact system that I've kind of just shown you. And these are some of the examples that we've worked on. Some of them are very complex. Like for instance, we had a property estate agent's website. Many pages, many sections, all using the block-based system. That has some blocks on there that uses queries, and quite complex queries, because it again gives them a really great user experience. So it's a really flexible system, and the clients absolutely love the flexibility they got, but they love the fact that no matter what they can do, it doesn't break their branding. The branding is so important to them that they don't have to worry about not selecting the right balloon, not selecting the right colour for the buttons. It's kind of just handled for them, and they really like that. And I think when we've delivered a project and we check in with them, they've kind of created content in different ways, or they've used blocks in ways that we didn't think about that worked really well. And again, it all looks great because it's all designed around their brand. It's all really flexible, but it just works all together, and they don't have that complexity. So, sort of key takeaways really. Small changes make a big impact. Obviously, as developers, we think in code, editors think in content, and again, they're not technically minded. Not everybody using our systems are going to understand what these terms mean. Keeping the UI really simple is important. Simplify workflows, reduce friction as we saw with the utility bar. That was a really good, quick win for us. And then balance freedom and consistency, just enough flexibility. Again, the users cannot create endless amounts of layouts in terms of columns, but what they can create is endless amounts of layouts within the structure, so they have that flexibility. And these improvements are just the start. So we're always evolving things. We're always seeing what's the next little thing we can work on. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much, and I'll welcome any questions.
So are you more expensive than Nordic? How do you know how much?
Well,
Iceland.
I tell you, since we've developed the system, we can produce websites far quicker than we used to.
But we actually don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
We have no
You
idea.
should Chris, ask Chris. Chris, are they more expensive than Zombie?
I don't know either.
Oh, now you I have the microphone. Question is layouts. So all the things you added, like layouts, blocks, everything. This is coding, right? It's not just aggregating existing features. You code on these things. They are modules.
Yeah, the modules. There are modules. The blocks module, which includes a layout. We try to keep code to a minimum because we wanted to use the flexibility of Orchard. So there's a few. Like I say, the parts are all obviously coded. So it's just parts basically. The layouts we use the handler. So that's how that pop-up comes on. So when they create a new content type, it has a layer part attached. It then adds some script that then loads up the modal picker. So yeah.
Do you base all your developments on 3 or 2? Orchard 3 or Orchard 2? Main branch or release branch?
Release branch.
So everything you've done is so far with Orchard 2 dot something.
Yes.
Okay. And so have you tried the main branch?
No.
Okay.
Are you going to tell me that this has been done in the main
What do you
branch?
know? We don't.
There's something that scares me.
It will all be broken. No.
There's something that scares me is I just realized it, but you have lots of customers and you are very familiar with the menu, like you know where to go to. In 3, the menu is completely revamped. All the things are different. So that's why I wanted to ask if you knew about these changes in 3, like the navigation is different, so your customers will have to learn a new navigation, you will have to learn a new navigation. It's worrying me, but you'll see, you should try.
Okay. So when you say navigation, do you mean the admin navigation or the admin? Yeah. I mean, again, everything that we've done, we try not to. We have tried not to change anything about Orchard. We don't want to override anything that you guys do because we don't want you to release a new version and it breaks everything that we've done. So we try to keep it really simple, and that's why we haven't gone complex with it because we want to make sure it adapts going forward. On that note as well, this is a module that we're looking to share with the community. It's not something that we're keeping as an internal thing. I think one of the things that we don't want to get, the maintaining of these projects is difficult because obviously every time there's a new Orchard. So if it's part of Orchard, it makes everyone's life easier, especially ours. I can go through more code if you like and show you what we made it, but maybe outside of these questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just curious, how do you handle brand-specific changes? So one kind of needs these type of course, these type of sets, and this type of layout actually implemented with styling. Do you do shape overrides, or you have extensive set of configuration for the theme, or how it's handled?
So every time we do a new project, it is a bespoke theme for our clients, and it sounds crazy, but when we looked at these blocks, they're just content items, and they just contain fields and parts. And we thought about, okay, maybe we have this theme, and then we can put the customer's branding in there and things like that. But actually, that's a lot of more overhead for one, us maintaining that, and two, as more clients, as more features, it bloats out and becomes complex for developers to manage. The way that we work with Orchard as well is when we do our shapes. So we have block, hyphen, and then the content type name. About 2 years ago, we switched from Bootstrap to Tailwind. As some people know in this room, I start talking about Tailwind and own stuff. I absolutely love it. And it's been a game changer for us. It radically changed how fast we can deliver these blocks, and we treat them as kind of self-contained. What have I got? How much time have I got? Am I at time? Am I okay?
Yeah.
I'll just show an example. So if I show, we've got this block here. If I show the features block, that's quite an interesting one. Excuse my code highlighting. It's all broken on this machine. As you can see, we literally, all the code for a block gets rendered in here. And what we do, we use shapes. So we've got this title shapes that we use. We have created a new liquid filter called component, and what that's done, we've combined the new shape and render together into one, so we don't have to do the render at the end of that. And the reason why we call it component is because we have a lot of front-end guys who use React, and they're used to the idea of components and things like that. And also as well, when we wanted to work in this view, we kind of added it so then we could add this component hyphen, so then we can keep things together in the theme. It's a way of us organising the content of the views. So you can see here with the title, we just say it's a title component and we're passing down all the attributes to it. So if we look in component, we can see we've got the title, and this is basically what gets rendered out. So this is kind of like a standard one, so we're passing in what type of tag it is, the classes, and anything else really. It keeps it really simple. We don't really touch things like placements for the front end. The reason why, I kind of took a leaf from Tailwind's book on this. When he said about people look at Tailwind and think it's horrible having all these classes in one place. But he said, well, if they weren't in this one place, they'd be in a separate CSS file or SAS file somewhere else. You'd have to go and find that SAS file. You'd have to work out what's getting applied. Sebastian's raising his hand. And then, you'd have to sort of go around everywhere. Where what we want to do, as a developer, what would be nice if they want to go and edit the features block, they go in there, they know exactly what's getting rendered. They can see, oh, okay, it's title component, that's what's getting rendered. They don't have to go anywhere else to see where the placement is. So anything that gets rendered is in part of the view.
Just want to go deeper on that point. So here you use a shape.
Do
Do you really want to use a shape? Do you need a shape?
You probably don't need a shape, but you like shapes.
Everybody hates shapes. It's a necessity. But here, do you need the shape, or do you need to render the thing that is in the file?
Yeah, we could just use partials instead if we wanted to. Is that what you
So an include or a render tag, just to say render that thing, that
Yeah, we could do.
component item.
Yeah,
Because shape has some weight to it.
Okay.
And here you just want to say inject that. So it's
Okay.
faster, easier to understand that creating a tag to just render something that will indirectly render a file. If
Sure.
this is what you want, there is include and render.
Okay.
Because in render, all these properties like tag, field, they will be passed to the template. So you can still access it.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to go down the route, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to show this to Sebastian. I'm sure he's going to want shapes. So, but yeah, no, that's a good point. Thank you.
Yeah, just a closer thought. I really like that you started using Tailwind. This is something we are also taking a look lately. So yeah, that's really nice.
It absolutely is brilliant. It's brought the joy back to HTML for the CSS.
And then a quick comment about line 9.
Nice.
I see it.
And I was the one that showed code. Yeah, go on.
Not null and not empty.
Yeah.
There are keywords in liquid like empty and blank to say that thing in one thing, like equals blank or equals empty.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, that shouldn't.
But it's harder. It's not even myself. I'm confused with what it means. So, but there are things.
Thank you.
I'm not even sure null is a thing in liquid. It's just because you name something foobar, it doesn't exist. So you say if it's not, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But null, I'm not sure it's a thing.
Okay. There was a change recently, and when we updated, and it broke that. I did this how? Yeah. I'll try and remember why, but yeah, I'll come back to that one.
There's a nil instead of null.
Yeah, okay. But null is nothing. It's just that you type null, and because liquid doesn't know what it is, you say it's null because you name it null. But you name it Jackson, it was the same. Like if not Jackson and block the title, not yeah. So
This is fantastic. I would love to see a lot of these things make their way into Orchard.
Yeah.
So please get involved. Start doing some PRs.
Yeah.
The utility thing on the left, is that something that you think you could pull out and do separately? Like, are these things all integrated into a single module, or have you?
No, that one is a utility, we call it utility bar module, and it's really simple. I think there's literally like 2 or 3 files in there to get that in there. The idea was the utility bar would grow. I think my initial concept for that was not only could you edit, but you could also add things like SEO analysis. You could click a button, and then using AI, we could start using, it could scan the page for on-page SEO.
And that's only if the person's logged in, or only if they're an admin?
Yeah, it's all managed through that.
You mentioned that you create a bespoke theme for each client. Does that mean that these block liquid files are part of the theme? So is there like a base, simple theme that you start with, and then you just customize it for the client, or you're saying you have to create all this stuff every time?
So what we do is we basically start with a blank theme, and we just basically copy over the blocks that you want. One of the improvements that I wanted to make was have a sort of a block library that almost could sit separately, and then you could go into the admin and import them, and you would import the views. The one thing that stopped, because we could do that, and then you could use the Orchard UI to go and change the templates. The problem we have at the minute is because we're using Tailwind scans all the files in this folder to get the classes it's using to generate the CSS output for you. That's why Tailwind's really good, because it only will apply the CSS that you use, so it's really good at tree shaking and getting that CSS down to a minimum. So within the database, we have to work out how we could do that server side to regenerate CSS that is outputted. So that is the consideration that we have for it. But again, they're so quick to knock up, because there's kind of, as a developer, we literally create a block. As you see up here, we've got this assign block up here. We usually console log that so we can see all the values, and then we can create a block within 30 minutes. And with AI now, you can get AI to generate these blocks automatically for you as well.
Looks great. We're about to tackle a lot of these same problems, so if you could kind of get it towards the next couple of months, that would be seriously, so have you completely done away with the whole column layout thing with these kind of blocks? Okay.
Yeah, again, because the types of user that we're delivering to, they don't have that technical know-how. They don't understand about, well, they do understand about columns, but they don't care about that. They know what content they need to get down, and if they've got this structured way of getting it displayed, they can visually build it in their head before they go there. They say, I know I want this block, I'm going to put it in this block. So it helps them sort of create the content as well. So this is what's really useful for them, so they don't have to think about content. And it would be useful as well to have things like they could apply class names. And we do allow that actually. Sorry, just a quick one. I don't know what time we're a bit. All the blocks have an advanced tab, so you can add CSS ID and classes in there. So they have that flexibility if we wanted to, but no one's ever used it yet. We put it in there, and that's all we've got. So.
And last question, sorry. So, have you ever had to deal with kind of persisting layouts? So, if you want to have like blog themes, to have a layout that always has a latest blog reel at the bottom or something like that.
So yeah, that again, that's another consideration. Layouts was one of those ones where we didn't want to fix it too much because we wanted that flexibility. Because there are that time we fix it and the client goes, well, I don't really want it on this page. So, well, it's part of the thing, you've got to do it that way. But at the end of the day, they want what they want. Yeah, so one of the improvements that we'd like to make is when you're in a layout, it would be the ability to lock a block to a certain location. So for instance, most of our sites have hero, and the page should always really start with a hero because that includes like page 1 and things like that. So all our layouts always start with a hero. So it would be nice to have a way of sort of locking that So the user can't delete it, but then they can add anything else they want underneath it. So that is a sort of feature we are looking into.
Any other questions?
If you still have
We are already.
Yeah, I would just second that please contribute this to your core, and we should have a brainstorming about how to exactly do that, because I think there are a couple of overlaps with existing concepts,
Sure.
and also that like block selector or you have, I think that should be the default for all widgets.
Okay. The only reason why I didn't go to the default on that one actually is because of, well, I suppose, yeah, you could go to a sort of simplified view. When you go to the here section and say, no, that's not what I wanted. So say if we go down to the features, obviously if it's only one, it has add features, but there are some blocks that we may want to add. You may give them the option. Maybe they want a feature with image or a feature. So it would just give them a drop down then to give them two options. If you showed the picker just two options, it's almost too much for the screen, if you like. So having this simplified one is really useful as well. But they say we could almost make that secondary. It's a simplified editor maybe, and make this the standard editor. Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's talk about it.
Yes, sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.